Welcome to Kicker Unmasked. It must be Tuesday, April 1st, 7:30 Central Time because you're here with us. Thank you so much for being here with us. We have a lot of cool stuff to talk about tonight. Now you may be wondering, who are these fine people sitting here in this audience? Camera 3, please. Look at this studio audience. Hello, studio audience. Look at these fabulous men and women. Sorry, try not to block you. Look at these fabulous men and women. These are some of our Kicker U dealers who are here for this week. All week, right? Yeah, you go home Friday. That's right, they go home Friday. So they're here all week. They're here with us for a few days, and they're having the Kicker U deep dive experience. They all came in on Monday, and we're here today, tomorrow, and then they all go home on Thursday. And they're having intensive training. We're doing a big tour, an in-depth tour, doing some listening lab stuff. It is a great time. And we only do this twice a year, and it's always with our premier dealers from across the country. So we've got folks from, right here in Oklahoma, but also those from far-flung parts of the U.S., and we also do it internationally occasionally. It is a great time. If you're a Kicker dealer, ask your rep how to get involved with this super fun program. And because of that, we're also going to interview one of these gentlemen here tonight about his shop and his story and what he does in the audio world. So that's happening, but also the studio tonight, of course, we have Mr. Bambrow running cameras. We're glad to have him back. And we also have Ernie, of course you know and love Ernie, and JW back there. We do not have Colin in studio. Colin is remote tonight. Colin decided he needed Mai Tais more than he needed to be in the studio, but he is still working with us tonight, so thank you much, Colin, for helping us from home. So that's the people here in the studio. Now, we do have a couple of things to talk about, like this thing right here. John Myers is going to talk a lot more about this, but I think this was first seen a couple weekends ago. Was it last weekend, John, or was it MasterTech Expo? John's here in the studio too. He's going to be co-hosting tonight. So yeah, you guys have already been talking about this, but John's going to drop a little bit more knowledge about this beast. So that's going to be fun to talk about. And of course, we have something very special to introduce tonight. Now, somehow we kept it very, very quiet, but we have a newest, latest, greatest member of the Solo X family. It is the Solo X Diamond Edition Solo X. It is the absolute premium, 2,000 watts RMS power handling, field serviceable recone kit available. This is a beastly, unbelievable performing subwoofer that is the top of the Solo X lineup. I think Ernie is showing some images there. Look at that. It even comes in a preloaded enclosure, and it is gorgeous. Look at that stitching on top of that box. That box is perfectly tuned. There's the dual 12. Perfectly tuned enclosures. Now you know the same team of engineers that came up with Solo X also came up with Solo X Diamond and the enclosures to go with it. So it is a perfect match of performance. Solo X, top of the line. Get them while you can. Limited edition Diamond Series Solo X. So you're going to want to go to our website because you can only buy them on our website, kicker.com. Go fast because they're not going to last very long. So that's the new and exciting thing to talk about. And let's see who's here with us tonight. Of course, Mr. Burkett, you're always with us. Phil Mobile Sounds, I log on and hit like, heading to get snack for a snack. What? You're going to leave before I'm done talking? Nice, Phil, real nice. Who else we got? Overkill Customs, good evening. Hey, you were here last time we did Kicker U, right, Overkill? We had a great time with you. Thank you for being here. Who else we got? Brandon Banks, let's get this party started. Yes, it is time to rock and roll. We're going to have so much fun tonight. Kyle, hello, hola, fam. Rough storms in Oklahoma. You know, it's been really beautiful here. I don't know where we're having rough storms, but here in Stillwater, it is absolutely beautiful. Not hot, not cold, just right. I think that's about it. Let's, oh, wait a minute. No, one more thing. I have to look at my show notes. Adrian, if you're watching tonight, I hope you're watching. Adrian, I got to tell a short story. So last, probably December, Adrian won third place for the raffle each night. You know, each Tuesday night, every other Tuesday night, we do a raffle, we do a giveaway. Well, Adrian won third place, and he received something that wasn't quite right. So who did he call? He called me. Well, you know what? My voicemail wasn't working for many, many months. So just a few weeks ago, I checked my phone and there's a voicemail from Adrian from like 3 months ago saying, hey Aaron, can you help me out here? I've had a problem with my winning, my prize. And so I called him. I said, Adrian, I'm so sorry. I just got your voicemail. How can I help? He said, Aaron, it's fine. They took care of it. I called customer service because you're lame. No, he didn't say you're lame, but he did get it taken care of. But I felt terrible because he was in my voicemail for months and months and I did not call him. So that is my apology, Adrian. Thank you very much for being such a kind gentleman. We appreciate it. We're going to take a short break, 60 seconds, and then we're going to bring in our guest, Matt. You're going to meet Matt tonight. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
It's been a long road since the original Kicker christened that first pickup truck. It kicked off a car audio renaissance, and upgrading your music in a vehicle was a requirement. America's music machines became living loud over your passion, your emotion, your existence. Outdoors or on the open road, your sound is Kicker.
For more than 50 years, Kicker has been rocking the planet on anything that moves. Kicker, the legacy continues.
Welcome back, and welcome Mr. Matt Schreiber.
How you guys doing?
Thank you for being here, Matt.
Absolutely.
Matt is one of our premier dealers from the Michigan area. And Matt, actually, he found out today that he was going to be on the show. We knew last week he was going to be on the show, but he found out today. So that's kind of backwards, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
We just kind of dropped on you.
It's kind of a surreal experience seeing the building, seeing this place. It's all real people, real place. And
yes,
it's a fun experience so far.
So speaking of fun experience, before we get to everything that you know about and what you do specialty, what is one thing that you experienced today that you just didn't imagine would be possible until you were here?
Yeah, and just the other room, there's something called the Wall of Boom. That was definitely an experience. What was it, 1615s?
Yes.
Yeah, it was shaking the whole building. So that was a good time.
Good, good. Well, our audience is familiar with the Wall of Boom.
Yeah.
Several of the audience have actually been here and toured. They've seen the videos. So yes, it is an excellent experience.
Yeah.
And tomorrow, our friends, Matt included, we're going to take you into the XRV, which has its own Wall of Boom. But it's a very small space with lots of bass, and you're going to love it.
That's my kind of thing.
Oh, man. So the floor vibrates so much, it actually hurts my feet.
Yeah.
I can't be in there.
Yeah, I like that when you get your eyeballs shaking a little bit. That's a good time.
That is fun. So let's talk about your store. I've got some images here. So first of all, where are you located, Matt?
We're in Kimball, Michigan. So they've been a prominent power sports dealer since 1997.
Wow.
So people kind of drive hundreds of miles to come see us there. So we do a lot of marine audio and side-by-side audio. And,
okay.
Yeah, if anybody needs anything like that, we're the ones to come see anywhere near us.
Ernie, can you pull up my laptop? I got some images here. Matt and his store. There we go. So
yes, these are some of the side-by-side builds we built recently.
So this is, what kind of side-by-side is this?
This is a Can-Am Defender.
Defender, okay.
Yep.
And those are KMTC 9s in the back?
Absolutely.
4 of them, is that
Yep,
right?
Yep, 4 of them there, powered off for 1202.
1202, okay,
Yep.
okay. And is this guy, is he a hunter fisherman? Is he a camper? Is he just a leisure?
This is a demo build. So we built this one for the Autorama in Detroit. So there's a big car show down there, so we got to take that there, and that was a fun experience.
Nice, very nice. Now, you've installed a few of these sets. What really stands out to you about their performance?
I think the clarity and the loudness. Those things can really project some sound quite a distance.
Yes.
So we've had those playing, and we're standing out half mile away, and we can still hear the vocals, and it's definitely a nice setup.
That's fantastic, half mile away. Well, we did a deep dive with Phil, and Phil is our Marine Business Unit Director, and Phil was instrumental in bringing these horns to life. And loud is easy. Anybody can do loud, but
Yeah.
loud and good,
Yeah.
that's the hard
Yeah,
part.
loud and clear is hard to achieve.
Yes, exactly. Back to my laptop, please. This is a side shot. This nice setup here. Did you guys add a subwoofer to it as well?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, there's
Okay,
a
good.
12-inch L7 in the back window there.
Oh, wait, the back window. Oh, I guess we can't
I don't
see
think
it.
I have that image up in there. But you can kind of see where that window used
Oh,
to be.
right there, yeah.
Now it's a big subwoofer box.
Oh, so that fires into the cab.
Yep.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, and this is another, what's this guy here?
That's another Can-Am Defender that we built for the showroom. So that's just
Okay,
a little bit different style of what we can do. So that's more of a geared towards off-roading.
sure. So you guys do full-on performance as well as audio upgrades?
Yeah, so if you want to get some turbos on your Defender, if you want to get, audio system or video system or lighting, or we've even done smoke machines and lasers, all kinds of different things.
That's great. Oh, and what's this beast?
That is a Can-Am X3 Maverick.
Wow. It
That's
looks like
the-
it's not done yet.
No, it's not done yet. Or at
Okay.
least in the picture, it wasn't finished yet.
Not yet, sure. All right, thanks, Ernie. So you guys special in the side-by-side power sports
Yeah.
area, and now you're relatively new to Grace Performance.
To Grace Performance, yeah. I've been in the mobile electronics industry for about 13 years.
Okay.
Recently, I went to power sports, and so far I'm liking it.
Okay.
It's a little bit change of pace, but it's still fun.
Yeah. Smaller charging systems, right?
Yeah, it's definitely an obstacle we have to get over, so there's usually battery banks involved.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's alternator upgrades available, so we have to go that route.
Sure.
But-
Unique challenges, and of course, the environment, mud, muck, mire.
Yeah, everything's got to be marine rated. Absolutely.
No, that's good. That's great stuff. So let's jump back in time. So you've been in audio for 13 years.
Yeah.
We all have a first audio system. What was your very first, what got you like, oh my God, I love car audio? What was it?
I'm kind of ashamed to say it wasn't KICKER,
It's okay,
but it was a MTX Terminator box and
Okay.
a Landstar 1800 watt amplifier.
Nice.
And I think I paid too much for it, but I liked it.
But it pounded,
Yeah,
right?
that's all that mattered back then.
What were you driving?
Plymouth Neon.
There's one of those in the back lot here.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a little car, but we got some volume out of it.
Yeah, that's great. Good. Audience, any questions for Matt while we've got him sitting here? He won't be here all night. He has the option to go back to the studio audience or to go back to Stone Cloud if he wants to. But any questions for Matt? Any interesting questions up there, guys? Hey, Brian Gary's here. Sensitivity. Oh, Brian is talking sensitivity. Brian, this is a great topic. We got to do a whole show about that sometime. Well, it looks like they don't know you well enough to ask questions, so they're
Okay.
being very polite. Any final thoughts you'd like to share with us?
If anybody has any questions or if they want to get anything done to their vehicles, side-by-sides, jet skis, give us a call at 810-989-9050. You can contact me or Mike Beck or Aubrey Harland. Any of us can set something up for you guys.
GracePerformance.com, is that correct?
GracePerformance.com. We have a website, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter.
Awesome.
So we're on everything.
So jet ski.
Yeah, we've done audio systems on jet skis.
So Bambro wants to outfit his jet ski.
Yeah.
So you got to trailer it on up.
Yeah, I can do it. Absolutely.
So where again in Michigan, you said?
Kimball, Michigan. So it's pretty close to Port Huron, not too far
Okay.
from the Blue Water Bridge, if you're familiar with that area.
Okay. So plenty of fresh water.
Yeah, absolutely. Everything's fresh water up there.
Oh, yes. JW, got a question. Mike, good evening, Mike. Thanks for being here. Matt, how do you charge lithium in tandem with AGM in a Maverick X3?
So we have a separate battery bank in the rear, and so far we haven't had any issues with mixing AGM. Everything so far has been pretty solid.
It's worked okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's good. That's good because I know there's some information and there's a lot of misinformation
Yeah.
about that topic. So if you want to, Mike, if you want to contact him at Grace Performance, you can contact Matt directly, and you guys can talk more specifically about your particular system.
Yeah, or you can give us a phone call or email, anything you want to do.
Yeah. So you can contact me at GracePerformance.com or on their on their Facebook, Grace Performance on Facebook. Excellent. Well, thanks for the question, JW. Appreciate that. And we're going to do a short break, and Matt's going to go back out to the studio audience and finish up his massage in the green room at the same time, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's been a pleasure.
All right. Thanks for being here, Matt.
Thank you.
Good to have you, sir.
You too.
Oh, wait. They don't want to see you. They don't want to watch you walk away.
All right.
For more than 50 years, KICKER has been rocking the planet on anything that moves. KICKER, the legacy continues.
Gentlemen, and of course, welcome Mr. John Myers, as seen on TV. Before we go any further, we do want to do a short remembrance of our friend Peter McGill, of course, Andy's father. We had the chance to meet Peter McGill when he came here to KICKER for Andy's wedding. And Ernie, can you pull up my laptop real quick? I want to show you a couple of great pictures we have of Peter. Peter was a nice man. We got to talk a little bit. We did quite a bit of waiting, of course, at weddings. You do a lot of waiting. And
Is
so
he
we got
sheets
to sit
to the
and
wind
chat.
there?
Well, he was working in Sheets.
Okay, just
I
making
don't think
sure.
there was any wind at Sheets that day. Of course, here's Peter and Andy standing tall together, repping KICKER. This is, of course, pre-wedding photos. And one of my favorite shots, these two gentlemen standing here in the visitor center, father and son, father taking care of the son's appearance, making sure he looks great for his wedding day, arguably one of the most important days in your life. And Peter was taking control of that situation. And of course, the love of a father is unlike the love of any other. And Peter, you'll be missed by the whole family. And Andy, we're sorry for your loss, man. Thank you. Sorry, tense moment here. All right, so we're going to move on to lighter topics. Andy, thank you for being with us tonight. And we did our dealer spotlight. We got to talk to Matt, and that was fun. And now we're going to talk about John's favorite topic, cheap tricks. Is that your favorite
Good
topic?
band, too.
Yeah, spelled differently.
Cheap Trick, yeah.
So cheap tricks. So what exactly are cheap tricks, and how can we make our audio system better, John? Tell us.
Well, don't spend a lot of money. That's how you do cheap tricks.
Good night, folks. Let's go home.
Yep. Cheers, Rowdy. But before we get to that, though, we did get a tech question. They're asking about the Diamond Woofer.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, and they were wondering if the spare replacement from the regular Silex will work with the Diamond. It will, but it will be 90 degrees out of phase.
Oh, my gosh. You don't want that.
So,
You'll need time correction on your subwoofer.
yep, if you can do 90 degrees. Anyway, bad audio joke there. Bad face joke. But it didn't faze me a bit. Anyway. So, I guess we need to say a little bit about this thing, too.
Oh, that. Well, okay, let's
We're
talk
talking about
that.
light subjects. That's definitely not a light subject, so.
So you were showing this off at MasterTech.
Yeah, I got permission to take that to MasterTech. Basically, that's where we unveiled it to the public. It still has not been released for sale. It's going to be a little bit of time, but this thing is a monster 8-inch. I think it's 10 inches deep. I mean, it's deeper than it is wide, so it's a pretty impressive woofer. And, you know, we haven't got the final specifications yet, but JB tells me power handling is going to be probably 400 to 800 continuous RMS.
Wow.
If not, maybe a little more. We'll find out here as soon as we get ready to release it. But this is definitely one of the prototypes. It's cosmetically about the way it's going to look. But there's still a few changes, but look for this before the end of the year. I think I need 4 of those under the seat of my truck.
Oh, yes. You need an upgrade.
And a transmission line enclosure.
So, John, is it going to be field serviceable?
Yes, but not in the way that the conventional Solex are. So you can field services. There will be some gluing required.
Okay.
So not 100%, glue-free.
Right.
But you'll still have to glue the surround to the front. But you still have the screws for the spider landing on the back. So
I'm guessing that's in part because it's so much smaller, so there's just not enough room.
Yeah, there just really isn't a lot of room to do that. And it's going to be a beast. I can't imagine there'll be a whole lot of people having to rebuild that thing, as beefy as it is. But, we got some knuckleheads out there. So.
And in here, too.
Yeah, guilty as charged.
So this is, I guess, the second time the world has seen it. Now, unofficially, it was hidden in plain sight.
Back of the corner back there.
Yeah, it was hidden in plain sight back there on top of that stack of down-firing subwoofers.
And a few of you caught that.
Yeah, for a few weeks. But it is now officially, unofficially available. Not available. It is not officially available, but
Correct.
It's officially
There you go.
a woofer. So, okay, good. Well, we covered that. So then let's talk about some cheap tricks.
All right, kind of what we want to talk about tonight is some, ways to get the most out of your audio system without spending a ton of money. I mean, that's one of the things that, when I'm on the road, no offense to you guys that have done this, but, I go out on the road, I go see dealers, I go to events, and people want to put me in their cars and hurt me.
Oh, yes.
And it's
yes.
You've definitely been in some of the loudest vehicles in the world and been pretty impressed with a lot of those out there. But, one of the things you run into are people that, come listen to my system. I just spent 40 grand on it, It's like, okay, yeah, that's cool. Then you get the guy that comes over, 17-year-old kids, like, I worked my paper out and mowed lawns,
Yes.
to make all the money. I paid for this all myself. I did my own install, built my own box. That impresses me more than the guy that just hands a check over. So it's how we all learn. It's how I learned to do it, just experimenting and growing up. And I remember one of the first cars I had, first Kenwood system I had when I was still in retail. One of my buddies, came and asked me, he's like, man, how did you do that all at once? I didn't. I bought one amplifier and then, I played it for a few months. I sold it and upgraded, got 2 more and just kept building the system up. So that's a great way to get started without just dumping a absolute, mound of cash into an install.
Sure.
But one of the things that I really like to tell people, I mean, it kind of comes down to even before you have a system, you need to think about what's going on. So you need to think about what is the purpose of the system. Mm-hmm. The worst thing you can do is spend a lot of money for something that isn't going to get you the results you want.
Sure.
So this may not all be just cheap tricks, but I kind of, smart use of your money.
Well, planning is inexpensive, and it's a good trick.
Yeah, it doesn't cost you anything to think about stuff.
That's right.
Just when you get to that cash register. But, you need to decide, hey, first of all, what is this system for? What do I want it to do? Do I want it to entertain the neighborhood? Do I want it to be an SQ vehicle? Do I want just average sound? Am I just looking for a little more bass? So you need to figure out what direction you guys want to go. And it's really important because, some systems will do lots of things pretty well, and sometimes you get certain products that are designed for one specific application. So if you decide, hey, I'm looking for just absolute sound quality, and you put, 40 bullet tweeters in your vehicle, and you wonder why it doesn't sound good, you spend a whole lot of money for a result that, is not what you were looking for.
Right.
So that's one of the most important things, in my opinion, is first decide what you're going to do with it.
Sure.
You just get... Even like car shows. Are you going to go to a car show and sit out of the vehicle and listen to it? You need to know where to put speakers.
Yeah.
So planning is probably the most important thing with the system. And then, of course, you really got to figure out a budget.
Oh, yeah. Oof.
I mean, it's funny because I get referrals from people in the company to design systems for them. I remember Jay, our VP, he had a friend that wanted to buy their son a stereo system for his 16th birthday, his birthday present. So I called him up and was talking with the dad, and I said, so what are you looking for? What do you want to do for a system? He said, oh, I'm looking for, two 12-inch woofers, probably a ported box. I want, a big amp on those. I'm looking for some components up front. I'm looking for a set of coax for the rear, maybe an amp on each set of them. And my next question was, well, not being, prying or, nosy, but like, what is your budget? And he said, $300. I don't think we can help you. I think we could get you an HS8.
Yes.
But see, unfortunately, you have to be realistic. And, if you spend minimal amounts of money and push it beyond its limits, that's one of the problems that people have. Is they buy inexpensive equipment and they try to make it do things it was never capable of doing, and then it fails, and then they're upset.
Yeah, the thing we like to talk about in our trainings is many times your expectation is here, but your budget is down here. And so we have to find a common ground to match your expectation and your budget.
Yeah, it's one of the things we call bang for the buck.
Yes.
If you're looking to improve an audio system and you have limited money, one of the things I've always told people is, first thing you need to do is get a subwoofer and an amplifier. I mean, no matter what you're trying to do, if you need to do it piece by piece and are on a budget, bang for the buck. Put a subwoofer in, because what does your car generally not have?
Great bass.
Yep. It may have a subwoofer, but it may not be very good. And, they're not going to put huge subwoofers in vehicles from the factory. So that's where we get into bang for the buck. That's where you're going to get the most, value out of the money you put into it. Then you go back and you start, replacing the other stock speakers in the vehicle. That might be phase 2. Then add an amplifier to run those, might be phase 3. So just kind of plan your steps as you go. But you really need to decide, exactly what you're going to do with the system. You need to know, how loud do you really want it? I mean, here again, do I want to just listen to it in the vehicle? I'm going to be sitting, outside the vehicle at a car show. Because if you put all the speakers inside the vehicle and the doors are shut and the windows are shut, you're not going to get the sound outside of the vehicle.
That's right.
So in some of those vehicles, I mean, you may consider doing something like putting speakers in the trunk, if you show off the trunk of the vehicle. I mean, I've seen people so bold as put speakers in the grill of their vehicles. And underneath. Some of them don't sound too good. Some of them are PA speakers. But yes, we've heard those at Walmart. It's like, why did you put a horn speaker? Anyway, it doesn't matter. That's what they wanted to do. So power to them. We actually did a project with a company that was a TV show, and I forgot what the name of the show was, but there were 4 HHRs, which were like a little small SUV. And we actually got to participate with 2 of the people, but they did 4 of them. So to do something different, one of them was NASCAR themed. And we talk about putting speakers in different applications and doing weird things with them. So I actually took our comp woofer and I put it in one of the NASCAR gas cans. So cut the bottom out of that big round gas can with that big nozzle and put the woofer in that. I really wanted to use the nozzle as a port, but unfortunately it wasn't tuned correctly. But for sound outside the vehicle, we wanted to do something creative, so we took Simpson helmets.
Okay.
And I made brackets and put the component speakers behind the face shield. And then we built stands for them, so you would set these out around, open the tailgate with the woofer playing. So kind of, decide what you're going to do and have some fun with it. But, you also got to consider your electrical system.
Yes.
I mean, all these things, this is not all, cheap stuff, but it's something you need to figure out. And when I say, cheap stuff, it doesn't matter how much you spend. If you don't get the result you're looking for, or if, you don't buy the right gear, you're not going to be happy, and that's just money down the drain, money you could have spent on something good.
So John, electrical system, this is a great topic. If a guy or a girl doesn't want to upgrade their electrical system, maybe they've just got a farm pickup or something like that, how much wattage can they reasonably put in that farm truck without adding an alternator?
Without getting over the top, it really depends on the vehicle.
Sure.
Because some of these vehicles, some of these smaller cars, you can have 30, 45 amp alternators, and you don't get a lot of power. Some of them, it's stock alternator, some of the older Chevy trucks, 110, 130 amps. So you really need to know what you have before you decide what you do. But on average, you should be able to get, a a 5-channel amplifier, 1,000 watts roughly, 700 to 1,000 watts off your average, decent, mid-sized vehicle electrical system without going too crazy. But now talking about, cheap tricks to maximize that performance, we've all heard the big 3 upgrade.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what is the big 3 upgrade? Well, you're going to upgrade 3 of the wires on the vehicle. A lot of people don't realize this, but the power actually flows from negative to positive. So it flows into the amplifier from the negative lead. I've seen people put smaller ground wires on their amplifiers than the positive wires. Like, well, why didn't you put a bigger? Well, it's short. It doesn't need to be as big. Yes, it does. So a great, cheap thing to do is put the right size wire with the amplifier. But the big 3 upgrade, you're going to upgrade the charging wire for the vehicle. So from the back of the alternator to the battery, or sometimes the battery distribution block, the fuse block, you want to upgrade that wire. You don't take the wires that are there out. Just add to them. Minimum 4 gauge. 1/0's preferable. And when you start talking 2 or 3 feet of wire, 1/0's not really that expensive.
Sure.
I mean, you might spend, $20, $30 on a section of 1/0, but it's going to make a big difference. You're going to get the maximum performance out of the alternator. But you can't stop there, because once again, we talk about that path, that electrical path you have to create. A lot of times, if you look at the battery on your vehicles, the negative wire coming off the battery, I've seen as small as your HDMI cable over there, sometimes smaller than 8 gauge. And what people don't realize is that's running the entire vehicle.
Yeah.
And when you put a huge system on and you do not upgrade that wire, that becomes a fuse. They can become red hot. You can burn those wires off. So definitely want to upgrade the battery to the chassis of the vehicle and the battery to the engine block. And that is going to be something, I mean, if you spend $40, $50 tops on parts, it's going to make a big difference in the overall performance of the audio system, and that doesn't cost a whole lot at all.
Did we mention the alternator too?
Yes.
We did the wire.
Yeah, we didn't talk about, like buying a new one.
Oh, no, sorry. The wire from the alternator.
Yes, that's the charge wire.
That's the charge wire.
That was the
Okay,
first
all right.
one we talked
That was
about.
the first one? Okay.
Were you here with me?
Sorry, I was taking a nap.
Apparently.
It's been a long day.
See what I got to work with here?
Hey, let's take a question. SQ Silverado, alternator upgrade or second battery first after the big 3?
It depends on how much power you're going to get and what your design for the system is. So, if you're going to be playing this system really hard, but you're going to be driving around while you do it, entertaining the neighborhood, alternator would be a great thing to put in. People don't realize it, but the alternator is the absolute most important component of your car audio system. That's where power is made. That's where it starts. So you've got to start with a good alternator. You don't necessarily have 2, but at least have one good one. Now, where more batteries would come in handy is if you sit with the ignition off and listen to your stereo loud for long periods of time. So the batteries are storage, but ultimately it's got to get power from the alternator. So, but also remember, if you continue to add batteries to your stock alternator, it does have some load, and it makes a difference. We've done experiments, not here with this group, but I think it'd be fun to do sometime. We basically connect a bicycle, like a stationary bike, with an alternator to a battery. So you start pedaling, everything's great. Then you connect a second battery, and it's a little harder to pedal. Hit the third one, you almost can't turn the pedals.
Yeah.
So, you can put a lot of draw on an alternator. I don't know if you've ever heard a vehicle that when the bass hits, the alternator squeals. That's the belt slipping.
I think Jacobs does.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
That's the belt slipping because you're putting, basically the alternator's become an electromagnetic brake. Say that again 3 times without having a beer in you.
So the quick takeaway is, if you do add additional batteries, you're adding additional load to the factory charging system. So you need to be conscious of that before just adding more batteries.
Right.
Okay.
And then figure out, hey, am I going to sit and listen to it? The whole thing is doubling the battery capacity. You got one battery, it's a good battery. You buy a second one. You can literally sit in the parking lot or, the beach or wherever and jam to your system twice as long. But if you do not upgrade the alternator, it's going to take you twice as long to charge them both back up.
Good point.
So that's where, if you're looking for, quick, fast charge, obviously a bigger, alternator is going to be. But we all know phones, they got that rapid charge. You plug it into a small little charger, it's going to take 11 hours to charge it. It's like, I don't have 11 hours to waste. So you go over to get a rapid charger plugged in, that's going to take 3 hours.
We got another question here. Let's take another question. What do we got? Kicker Truck Travis. Hello, Kicker Truck. Hey, is that your buddy?
I think it is.
It is your buddy, yeah.
I think it's all of our buddies here.
Look at that little bitty picture, because that truck is sitting in the back of Kicker right now.
Yes.
That is.
It is.
Yeah, if you look
and I actually,
guys,
Travis, I haven't told you this, but I had it running this weekend.
so,
God, it
around
sounds
the block,
good.
Right?
Yeah, man, that truck sounds
so
good.
For the studio audience, if you look at that little picture there, Kicker Truck Travis, that truck is in the back of Kicker. You're going to see it tomorrow. It's being worked on, refurbished right now.
Yeah, that was actually a demo vehicle we built back in '99 that's been passed around, and Travis ended up with it, and he dumped a ton of money into this thing, and he did it right. I mean, it's no longer lifted on 35s. It's lowered on, what are those, 26 wheels, 26-inch wheels on the back? But it's a really neat little truck. But we only offer up to 1 gauge, or 1/0 wire, not 1 gauge, but 1/0 wire. And, you know, multiple runs. I think in Travis's truck, I think there's between 8 and 12 runs of 1/0. There's actually 4 runs from each alternator front to back, and he's got 2 380 amp alternators, I think, in that vehicle. So it's a beast, but it's all about power. So, you know, here at Kicker, we're kind of the people that appeal to the masses. You know, larger than 1/0 wire is something that, you know, we generally don't get a whole lot of call for.
Yeah.
If you look at the original Warhorse amplifier, it would handle up to 3 1/0, actually it was required, 3 1/0 power and 3 1/0 ground wires. The new Warhorse, 2 1/0 power and 2 1/0 ground wires. So, you know, it's just doubling up wire, just more runs of it. And here's the other advantage to running more runs of smaller gauge wire. It's a whole lot more flexible.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's companies out there, I think somebody mentioned something about running flat wire. Oh, we were talking about that in one of our trainings today with the LED
Excuse me,
wires.
John.
Is that your phone beeping back there?
No, it's the low battery indicator.
Oh, so, see, there you go. They need a bigger alternator back there. They've exceeded its capabilities. So the problem you have is, you know, the bigger the diameter of the wire, the harder it is to hide. You know, under carpet, you know, through panels. So it's not a problem to run multiple runs of smaller wire. One of my buddies actually, back when I had my store, brought the Blaupunk demo van to my store because I was a Blaupunk dealer. They had a limit there was a leased van, and they told them you can run no larger than a 10 gauge wire for anything. And Gary York was the product specialist that brought the van. Gary was a trip. But this van, I think they did 40 runs of 10 gauge wire. Oh my God. 40 fuses. I mean, it was crazy, the bundle of wire. But hey, it was required because they could not violate the lease, otherwise they get fined and sued. So, and unfortunately, Gary was leaving my shop in Nebraska and hit some black ice and rolled that van.
Oh no!
But it was a really neat van. It was really cool, and Gary just fine. But yeah, I felt so bad, but hey, I was happy. At least it made it to my shop.
Let's take another question. What do we got? Oh, okay. So Timothy, good evening, Timothy. Here's my question for you guys. Can you explain the correlation or the connection between a speaker's sensitivity and its DC resistance of the voice coils? Whew, that's way beyond me, John.
Wow, that's an interesting question. So sensitivity is how loud a speaker plays with a certain amount of power. So in fact, we were talking about this today when we had our dealer training. Sensitivity it's a volume measurement measured in decibels. Mm-hmm. So normally you measure a speaker at 1 watt, 1 meter, or like 1.83 volts at 1 meter.
About like this.
And you get a number and it tells you how loud it plays. So you got to look at specifications, and that's one of the things I'm really particular about, is not paying any attention to most specifications because they can change numbers on paper. Yeah. There's no governing body that says they have to be honest. I mean, with power handling, with frequency response, anything. But there was a company out that rated their speakers a 1 watt, half a meter. So if you look at the sensitivity number, they were about 3 dB louder than everybody else's, but they were half the distance from the microphone.
They were here.
So it basically was a wash. So when you get into the resistance of the speakers, I mean, that is really a balancing act. When you're balancing the weight of the voice coil, the diameter of the windings, the impedance you want, it can be very challenging, and you can do a lot of different things. Let's give you an example. Bose, if you know, guys remembering, you've seen the name Bose on vehicles all the time. they had a speaker, their most famous speaker, the 901s. Very interesting concept. I'm going to tell you a quick story about this. It has nothing to do with cheap audio systems, but it tells you that you got to pay attention to what people are telling you a lot of times,
Sure.
and you got to be able to read between the lines. So I really was impressed with the 901s because if you think about 70% of your music is mid-range.
Makes sense.
It has 9 4-inch mid-ranges. So great. Well, you've also got bass response. So you add the surface area of those 9 4-inch drivers together, it became equivalent to about a 13-inch woofer.
Wow.
So that sounded great. Now here's where they lost me. So, and I'll get to the other part of it too, but then they said at high frequencies, the dust cap decouples from the cone and becomes a soft dome tweeter.
Eh?
Exactly my point. I'm like, wait a minute, if it decouples from the cone, if we talk about, laws of motion, an object at rest wants to stay at rest, an object in motion wants to stay. So if that, speakers move, the voice coil decouples, it's not going to move as much. So it's going to do the opposite effect. So that's what kind of lost me. But, how that, popped into my mind is those speakers, you had 9 speakers, and the impedance of the voice coils was 0.8 ohms.
Wow.
But you put 0.8 ohms, 9 of those in series, it became an 8 ohm load speaker. So it handled tremendous amounts of power, but you stack the drivers together.
And it came with an EQ contour box, right?
Here again, if you look at DSP, we talk about digital signal processing, make speakers sound better like all the automakers do. They had a form of DSP. It was a fixed DSP built into a little equalizer. It wasn't digital. Obviously, we didn't have digital back then.
Right.
But it basically eequalized that 4-inch speaker. So it boosted the crap out of the high frequencies and the low frequencies, the little things that actually they didn't sound terrible. So,
Jeez.
neat question. So thanks for that. But
A couple more cheap tricks, John. Let's get a couple more.
no problem. Biggest cheap tricks I can tell you that cost zero money. I mean, to make your system sound good. First of all, one of the big things I check on any system that before I deliver it to a customer, or any vehicle that comes to me that's had some aftermarket work done on it, check your balance and fader.
It's so simple.
I mean, if you got the balance and fader, backwards, and especially balance between front and rear, so your left front's playing and the right rear's playing. I mean, that's really going to affect the sound quality and the image. Some people just don't care, though.
I gotta tell Dad's story. So my dad had a Toyota pickup. He had 5 1/4 in the doors. He had 4-inch in the dash. And only one speaker was ever playing in the truck. I said, Dad, how come there's only one speaker playing? The others are blown, son. Okay then, Dad, let's fix that.
Yeah, make it sound a lot better if they just work.
Yes.
So that is a great cheap trick, but once again, there's another one, we call it polarity. Not necessarily phase, we're not talking time alignment, because now you're getting in DSP, and you can mechanically do time alignment. That costs you just fabrication and time. But when it comes to polarity of speakers, make sure your speaker's in polarity. How do you do that? If you don't have a meter, don't have any way to test them, they actually make polarity checkers. You can buy them on Amazon for $10. That's pretty darn cheap. And it's a pulse track. It does 3 positive pulses, which pushes the speaker out, and then 1 negative. And you put the little sensor, by the speaker, and you play through their CD or flash drive or whatever. Most of them were CD, back then.
Yeah.
But you should see that get 3 green lights and 1 red one. If you get 3 red and 1 green, that speaker's out of polarity. Now, polarity is only important when you're basically referencing to another speaker. So you can have both speakers out of polarity by positive and negative, by which direction they start moving, but they're going to be in polarity acoustically. So without a checker, the easiest way to test that is play one speaker, play a track that's fairly bass heavy, because you'll notice this the most on bass frequencies. Then you're going to fade it to the center, balance it to the center. Listen very closely to the bass response. If the bass increases or stays about the same, it's in polarity. If you have both speakers playing and the bass is gone, you've got 2 speakers rather than moving at the same time, they're doing this. So think of a slinky. If you remember those, do they still have slinkies? You got
my daughter has one.
Okay, so they do still have those. So as you push up on one, all that energy and weight gets transferred just to the other one. It doesn't go anywhere. But if you're pushing both at the same time, you actually get some motion. Same thing with speakers and doors. In polarity, they're going to do this. not this.
Yeah.
So when they're doing this, they don't develop any pressure, but when they're doing this, they develop pressure in a vacuum. That's how you get sound. So now to the little bit more detailed part of that, talking about polarity. Speakers can be electrically in polarity and acoustically out of polarity. And not to get too involved, but that has to do with the wavelength and the distance they are from you. There's a very easy way to check that. This is something I used to do all the time. Just a deck and 4 speakers, because if you're putting a deck in a vehicle and you don't have the wire harness adapters like we have now, if you just had a harness and you had to figure out the wires, I mean, it was real easy to test speakers with a battery. Take a 1.5 volt battery and touch it to one wire and start touching. And don't do this with the vehicle that has airbags or computers. I'm talking old vehicles. But we literally would take the battery and we touch one wire to it, start touching these other wires until we heard a speaker crackle. Then we knew that was the speaker that was connected to those 2 wires. So you could find the 2 front speakers, connect them. It's like, all right, and get the polarity correct on those 2. Then you do the same thing with the rear, not having the front on, so you get those in polarity. Then what you'll do is you'll put the front and rear together, and while you listen for the bass response. If you got great bass with the front speakers playing, great bass with the rear speakers playing, and you fade it to the middle and the bass kind of goes away, try swapping the polarity of either the front or the rear, both speakers. And that should get things back to a pretty decent sound. And that's a pretty cheap, easy way to do things.
Wow. Any questions we got in the audience? Let's see if
We like
got
questions.
some great questions.
Gives us more ammunition to talk about.
Aaron, good evening, Aaron. Kicker, question, can a sub be too big for the cabin of your vehicle? Too big?
I think that's a personal choice. I mean, you're talking multiples or single sub. I mean, here again, if you're not a bass guy and you put a 15-inch woofer in your vehicle, yes, your subwoofer is too big for your vehicle. And it's going to take up a lot of space that you could use for something else. So that's a matter of personal choice, and as long as, and let's back that up, let's qualify it. You can put too many speakers or too big of a speaker in the vehicle if you don't have enough box volume.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So that's another thing that's very cheap. If you're going to buy a box anyway, make sure you get the right volume, because any speaker will work in any application. How well will it work? How long will it last?
John, you and I have talked about this many times. I would prefer a 10-inch driver in a box that's a little bit too big rather than a 12-inch in a box that's too small.
Absolutely. You know, if you guys watch some of the older shows, I'm always talking about, large sealed boxes. That's what I personally like, and a ton of power on them, which actually is kind of contradictory to what you should do. The bigger the box, usually the less power a sealed, speaker handles. But, I like a lot of power. I like a large sealed box. But here again, not only the size of the enclosure, but the type of enclosure. And that's another point I was going to get to. Before you spend any money on a system, you need to decide what type of bass do you want. Do you like tight, hard-hitting bass? Do you like a really deep rumble? Do you like something that's got a peak at a certain frequency? Do you like flat response? You need to do a little bit of research ahead of time to figure out, and listen. Go to stores, go to shops, and listen to different types of enclosures and see what sounds good to you, because there is no right or wrong. So once you decide what type of enclosure, you need to find a woofer that will work in that type of enclosure. Both of our lines are marine woofers, the KM and of course our new premium marine speakers, the MWs. We've got an MWE. The E stands for enclosure, and we have an MWF for free air. Free air means no box. It doesn't mean the air doesn't cost anything, but that means it's. And the difference in the two is the free air version, the one that's designed not to work in a sealed enclosure, has more mechanical suspension. Like if you push on the speaker, it's harder to push in on it. Whereas a speaker that's designed for an enclosure, a sealed box, it doesn't have to have a stiff suspension because it's got the air pressure behind it. And that's why they call it acoustic suspension, or basically air suspension.
Let's take one more question from the audience. And then we're gonna have to do another show with this, John, because we
have too much fun.
Yeah, we've got a lot of stuff to cover, and we don't want to take up 4 hours tonight.
Bobby, love you.
Aaron, will the new Solo X8 play below 40 hertz? You know what? I will let you know as soon as John builds a box for it. Then I will let you know.
Give me 30 minutes.
30 minutes.
We got a wood shop right in back.
But we got to go to work tomorrow morning early.
I know.
So.
Well, let's be a little tactful with this. That's another question I get all the time. Is I hear people say, small speaker can't play low bass.
Right, right.
How big are earbud speakers?
Oh, they're tiny.
Yeah, sometimes
inside the ear.
Half, 5 millimeters.
Yeah.
Half a centimeter. Do they have bass?
Oh, fantastic.
Some of them do. Some of them don't, but some of them do, and that is the proximity they are to your ear and where they're at. So, yes, here again, any speaker will work in any type of enclosure, but if you're looking for a whole lot of bass and you decide to put, 6.5-inch woofer in your vehicle, you're not going to be happy.
That's right.
I mean, it's not that much more expensive to go ahead and get a 10-inch and put it, a ported box, and put decent power to it. You got to have decent amplifier, which is something else I've got on my notes here that is a good cheap trick. We're going to cover it anyway.
Yeah.
We might go a little longer, but this stuff is important. Setting up your amplifier properly for the speakers that you have.
That's a whole show.
Yeah, it doesn't cost you anything. Set the crossover right. Set the gains right.
Bass boost.
Yeah, that says a lot right there. And those are little things that get your polarity correct. Make sure you've got decent electrical system. Make sure that your amplifier is set up correctly, and make sure you have the proper speaker. Because like on our KM and our ME subwoofers, it doesn't matter if you get the freer version or the enclosed, they're the same price.
Right.
But if you get the wrong one and put it in the wrong box, now you've wasted money.
Yes.
So, little tip there. Just do a little research, and find out, research from the manufacturers.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of YouTube experts out there. No offense to any of you guys.
Yeah. Go straight to the manufacturer's website.
And find out what they recommend for enclosure and sizes. And here again, the smaller the enclosure, the less bass you're going to have, but it's going to be a lot more punchy and loud. So if you're a speed metal guy and you're not looking for that guttural deep bass, just want that hard hit, maybe a small sealed box is perfect for you.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, John, we are definitely going to do another show on this topic because you have a lot of knowledge to share with us. So, sir, thank you. I want you to go home.
Me to the curb.
He's got to go home and go to sleep because we've got a whole other day tomorrow of this.
Oh, I can just get it. Well, I am going to do a quick plug, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure.
Thursday, we are leaving for Springfield, Missouri.
Yes.
We're going to go do the man show. Nope, no trampolines. I know, I was disappointed too. Girls on trampolines. This would be fat bearded guys on a cot is what it would be.
John.
Kind of like me. But if you can make it, it's anything that guys like. It's bourbon, it's barbecue, it's a car show, drifting, sporting goods. I mean,
your car's going to be there, right?
Yeah, actually going to take the Mustang. We're going to show off the LX amplifiers.
Nice.
So.
And the Bronco.
Yep, the Bronco will be there. We'll be doing demos, and we've just heard, I just actually heard just about an hour and a half ago from JW, we're going to be doing this inside.
Oh, so it's an indoor event.
Last year we did it in the parking lot. It was a little windy. We actually had to strap the awning for the semi to the truck and trailer to hold it down. This year they're talking rain, not a chance of rain. They just say rain Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and I think high on Friday's 52 degrees. So thank you for letting us be inside because it would be wet and cold outside. But if you guys can make it to Springfield, it's a good time. And just look up Man Show, Springfield, Missouri, and it'll give you all the information, and hopefully we'll see you guys there.
Awesome.
Said he's drifting his car.
Yep, I'm going to be drifting the car in the wet parking lot.
He's not drifting
and
his car.
Eva's going to be screaming for her life. So.
All right.
That's almost fun. So thanks, guys. Have a good night.
We'll be right back.
Livelihood, and it's in my DNA. My pals at KICKER Marine Audio gave me a chance to take the music what I love and listen to at home, on stage, and in the car, onto the water. Hi, this is Jason Bonham, and I want to say a big thank you to my friends at KICKER Audio for inspiring the songs and the stories behind the music that inspires America. Go overboard!
Welcome back. You might see some of our studio audience is headed home. They have had a very long, intense day, and tomorrow is going to be another long and intense day. So they need to get some rest before we go at it again tomorrow. So good night, folks. Thanks for being here. So next thing we want to talk about, we talked about the new subwoofer, but I did have a Q&A. We actually had a question already come in through tech support, and they asked power range, and John already went through it. 400 to 800 preliminary. That's 4 to 800 RMS is the preliminary numbers. We haven't completely settled on that yet, but that's what we're looking at. So that's probably going to be right the range. So between 4 and 800 watts RMS for the Solo X8.
4 or 400?
400 to 800. Did I say it wrong?
800.
Okay, sorry. John,
796 watts of range there.
John is sitting just off camera there. The other question we had is, can LX remote bass knob control more than one amplifier? No, it cannot. The LX bass knob, the LX RC, I think is what we're calling it, when you set up the amplifier using the controller, the LXCC, that fancy little controller, when you're done setting that up, you unplug that, and then that same port, that RJ45 port, you plug in the bass knob, and that holds one bass knob, and that is it. So you get one bass knob per amplifier. So that's the way it works. If you wanted, for some reason, to have multiple gains, like John Myers loves to have multiple 5-channel amplifiers in his cars, you can use our universal level remote. It's not going to give you all the cool functionality that you get from the LX RC bass knob, but if you do want to control, like say you've got 2 of the LX 3000s, you could use our universal level remote control to control the gain. You just lose all the fancy functions of that bass knob. So, good question, thank you. Okay, let's look at some pictures. We're going to start with some failure pictures. Now again, if this is your install, we're not trying to laugh at you, we're just laughing with you because we all started somewhere. Well, Ernie's laughing at you, just not me personally. All right, Ernie, let's pop this one up here. So Ernie always comes up with these, and it took me a minute to figure out what I was looking at, but this is a bench seat that was put on top of the enclosure. So someone took, say what? What do you want me to say, Ernie? So Ernie wants me to point out that it looks like perhaps there's so much bass that it caused an involuntary movement of some sort. So yes, there's a lot of bass and there's some liquid on the floor. So there you go. So yeah, that's unique. That's an interesting solution. Moving right along. So Ernie sent this to me. I said, Ernie, what am I looking at? He said, Aaron, that is an alternator on the ground in the street. So as John pointed out earlier, this man's bass hit so hard, the alternator jumped out of the engine compartment onto the street. So yeah, that's when you know you got too much amplifier, not enough alternator. So this is a world-class ground. And also I want to point out that there is a little bit of a smiley going on here. We're not sure if that was intentional or not, but look at this. Here's the autopsy of that particular grounding scenario. So yeah, check that out. So they did that, but they covered it up with 2 screws. So you know, that's good. They were thinking about that. So yeah, there you go. How not to ground. And when we do the next show with John, we'll talk more about grounding because that is critical to the performance of your audio system. Here's another great picture. And I think it looks like fruit salad, but I'm pretty sure it's not. It's some Scotch connectors. Ernie, you said 3M was okay, but all the cheap cheese ball ones, don't use them. These are the Scotch locks and the butt connectors, and yeah, this is a whole bunch of ugly. But it looks like that radio's been installed 7 or 8 times, and you've now run out of wire. So yeah, we're done with that one. All right, so there's our fail pictures. Now let's look at some cool pictures. It has been a very busy week here at KICKER. And one thing I want to show you, if you remember, Joe Hobart, Director of Electrical Engineering, was here in the show doing amp dynos with LX amplifiers the last show 2 weeks ago. And he was here in the evening, and what was amazing to me is that his house was very close to being completely destroyed by the fires we had here in Stillwater a few weeks ago. And his home was not destroyed, but his pool was, everything around his pool, a bunch of the land on which he lives was torn down, burned down by the fire. And so we put out a call at KICKER, hey, Joe needs some help cleaning up his home. Is anybody available on Monday? And so I want to show you the team of people that came together to help Joe and Megan, his lovely wife Megan, clean up after this incredible experience. So here's Kyle. Kyle is part of the R&D team, the acoustic side, and he's manning the tractor. He brought his own tractor, by the way. Here's some more guys from R&D clearing up the lawn or the yard there. Big rocks that were around the pool area. And there's Tom Heath. He's the VP of Sales and Marketing, loading up that John Deere tractor. There's Kyle again, just clearing away the brush. This is the quality of people that work here at KICKER, coming together to help one of our own take care of their home. Amazing response. There's Ian. Ian is a brother-in-law to Joe. This gentleman here is also part of R&D. That's Josh James. And Christine, I think Christine weighs less than the twigs that she's pulling out of the brush there, and she was completely surprised by that comment. What, Aaron? What are you talking about? And there's Joe himself. Joe hauling half a tree out of the woods there, and just here to help out. And there's Fernando. Fernando works in our electronic repair team. He is amazing. The guy can do just about anything. He's very resourceful. He comes to us from Cuba. There's Jay Ralston, General Manager of KICKER, been with KICKER for 37 years, running the chainsaw there, cutting down the brush. More of the electronic repair team. Here's Nick. Nick's relatively new in R&D, hauling away the debris. We're coming up, there's Roger and Colin, R&D. And we're coming up on one of my favorite pictures here. There's Roger with Brush Hog. There's Michael, R&D. Ian, because the work's almost done, he's happy. But check this out. This is my favorite picture. So this is Austin. Austin is also known as Ballast. And he is making sure that this tractor doesn't flip over on its face and squash Joe. So I just wanted to share with you the cleanup pictures that we had from Joe Hobart's home. Great bunch of people here at KICKER. Love them. Some more cool pictures. So we did a tour for the OSU International Business Club. And if you remember a few weeks ago, we had a tour that came through and they wanted to do some hands-on. Well, these folks saw that video. They saw UnMasked. They said, we do not want to do hands-on. We do not want to be building things in development. So please, let's just have the tour and then go home. So that's the OSU, Oklahoma State University International Business Club. Came for a tour. Great bunch of folks. We had a great conversation about business in general and how to do it internationally properly. Also, John Myers, he was, of course, at MasterTech Expo. And one of the really nice things about MasterTech Expo is it's such a great environment for learning, like really top-notch, high-level learning. And we had some of our students from the Skills USA Mobile Electronics Installation Competition. The winners were there at the event, MasterTech Expo. They had free tickets thanks to Brian Schmidt at MasterTech Expo, Mobile Solutions. He gave away those tickets, those seats. And then money was raised to bring the kids, excuse me, they're not children, they're not kids, they're students, to bring the students out there. And of course, that's Scott Dilbeck. Scott's a big part of the Skills USA. He's on the director's team with us. Brian Gary was there. Brian Gary now lives here in Stillwater. Brian took himself out there with Chris Jack, had a great time, and John got to talk with all those students and those guys. And what an incredible experience from the Skills USA family. So thank you, Brian. Thank you, John, for being a part of that. Scott Dilbeck, all of you guys making it possible. And let's see, we've got, oh yeah, another tour we had, Franklin Technology Center. If any of you guys or girls are watching tonight, thank you so much for being here. Franklin Technology Center is in Joplin, Missouri, and those kids got on a bus. They are kids, they're students. Those kids got on a bus about 6 a.m. in Joplin, and they hauled their happy butts out here, 20 of them. And they got here, we did a really nice tour with them. It was like a 2.5-hour tour, much longer than normal. But those instructors, those guys really put in the effort to make it extra special for these students. So here they are in the studio, of course, and there's Jacob, he helped out with the tour. But we had a great experience with these young men and women. And of course, no tour would be complete without a wall of boom photo. And so, of course, we had to finish up with that. So that was a great tour. We're thankful for those guys coming out here. And lastly, let's look at a really cool vehicle. Ernie sent us these pictures. Ernie just finds all the cool stuff. Ernie, what year is this car? 1969 Camaro SS. Look at that install. Beautiful. But wait till this next picture. Whoops. Whoa, what's going on here? Sorry, there we go. Okay, so this is the trunk of this Camaro, and this is the beauty panel that hides it all. So if you don't want to be looking at all the electronics, the subwoofer, they can hide it with this beauty panel. And then from the inside, or wait, that's not the inside. That is the outside. That's the footprint. Beautiful car. That is not a KICKER processor, but what is that? It looks like a Helix. That's a good quality processor right there. And that is processing this car. This is the interior I was talking about. So this is the rear deck, the rear package tray. So clearly they have perforated this to get the base from the trunk inside the car. I bet it sounds fantastic. Super clean. This is like John Myers level kind of stuff. Great quality install. And this is a Blazer. And this looks like a quad box with Q-Class L7. I think those are probably 12s. So that is a quad box with Q-Class, custom built. Beautiful install. Look at down here. They have actually taken this styling element here and they've put it down here, mirrored it down here in the tailgate. Very nice details. And just a good looking truck. Yukon GT, Grand Touring, and I bet it's an awful lot of fun off the road as well. So there's some cool pictures. And let's see, what else we got to talk about? Anything else? We've got, no. Oh, Man Show. John talked about the Man Show. That's coming up this weekend. John's going to be there. If you're in the area, please check that out. John did it last year, had a great time, and that's why we're going to go back and do it again this year. And Bambro, you're going to be there too, right? Oh, you're not? Nope. Steven's saying, nope, Aaron, I don't have to be at that show. He's going to stay home. Oh, Super Cat Fest, which is also on my list to talk about. Lake Havasu, Arizona, Super Cat Fest. We're going to have the XRV up there. We're going to have JW. We're going to have Steven Bambro. And I think Carlos Jimenez is going to be up there too for that event. And that's next weekend, correct, Steven? Next weekend? Okay, so that's going to be a great show. If you're in the Arizona, Vegas area, Southern California, check out that show. Lake Havasu is an amazing resort town that puts on some incredible events. You're going to want to be there. So that's coming up. And then, of course, you guys have been talking about this, SQ at HQ, right here at KICKER, May 17th. This event is growing, and I don't think, Ernie, am I allowed to talk about who else is throwing down with us? So that's a big fat no. So we have some other partners that are coming on board. They said, hey, if KICKER's doing this at KICKER in Stillwater, we want to be a part of that. So there's going to be some big names here, and there's going to be some money thrown around too. So you're going to want to be a part of this. If you are going to come here and you're going to be driving more than just a few hours, please make hotel reservations. This town in the spring and summer has so many events. And we have a limited number of hotel rooms and Airbnbs and all that kind of stuff. So make your reservations. We've discount rate. Okay, so Ernie is saying that we're going to have a couple of links up on our social media that get you a discount, about 50% off discount on hotel rooms. And these aren't like sleazy motels. These are nice places. These are nice hotels in which to stay. We know the management there. We use them a lot, and so a lot of our guests actually stay there. So go to those links, get signed up. We have a limited number of rooms at those prices, and you do not want to pay off-the-rack prices because it is a crazy weekend. I think there's a baseball game in town, a OSU baseball game, and I think also is there maybe a wrestling event, but there's a lot going on. So you need to get your reservations in, and it's going to be a great time. So please come join us. Now let's pick our winners. We have some winners. Who is the third place winner tonight? Number 3, Adrian. I can't say all that. Adrian from Texas. Woohoo! Congratulations, Adrian. What do you win? Of course, you get the KICKER Unmasked t-shirt. You get a couple of koozies. And you get the EB400 in-ear monitors. Thanks for being here. Winner number 2. Who is number 2 tonight? Cheryl E., Ontario. Ontario CN. Is that Canada? Connecticut? Congratulations, you get a t-shirt, 2 koozies, and you get the TW2 in-ear true wireless monitors. You're going to enjoy those. I'm sorry, what? Cartoon Network, what? Matthew D. from Oklahoma. Matthew, congratulations. Hey, Matthew, you're a first place winner. If you want to come pick up your winnings in person, feel free to do that. We can arrange for you to pick them up here at Kicker. If it's too far, of course, we'll ship them to you. You get the Bullfrog, the t-shirt, and the 2 koozies. So that is our show tonight. Our next show, side note, Andy is not having a show tonight. Obviously, the gentleman needs some time to chill, decompress, and figure out how he's going to move forward. The loss of his father. So no Andy show tonight. Our next show is Tuesday, April 15th. We'll be back in the saddle, so be sure to tune in then. Thanks for being here tonight, folks. Thank you, studio audience. Appreciate you guys being here. We'll see you next time.